Now to help explain what White Dog Labs does, they have supplied us with a video to showcase who they are and really what sets them apart. Let's watch the video.
I'm Brian Tracy, CEO and co-founder of White Dog Labs. At White Dog, we're approaching biomass fermentation differently from the rest. We put a new spin on ages-old fermentation in its truest form, anaerobic biomass growth. Anaerobic fermentation is the workhorse of industrial biotechnology, with well over 1 billion gallons of installed capacity in the US alone. It's also the basis of nutrition for all creatures with a digestive system. Sure, we get some sustenance directly from the food we eat, but top shelf nutrition microbiome, a portion of microorganisms symbiotically living with us. This microbiome anaerobically ferments the food that we eat for us vital nutrition and boost our immune system. This is particularly important for nature's plant eaters, as herbivores derive much of their essential protein not from plants, but by digesting and absorbing their actual microbiome bacteria. So it turns out that nature's vegetarians and our best evolved solution to nutritious flexitarian diets are actually sacrificial bacteria that anaerobically ferment plant diets into vitamin and mineral-rich single-cell protein. 4 years ago, we got pretty excited about this opportunity. The technology to select and grow unfamiliar bacteria was deficient. Fortunately, though, we had just advanced a new paradigm of anaerobic fermentation that is strikingly similar to digestion. We call it mixotherm, anaerobic growth of carbohydrates and CO2. Also, it can be done in the billions of gallons of installed fermentation capacity around the world with limited input, rendering it far lower capital and operational cost than aerobic cell growth. So over 9 months with selection, we generated libraries of human and animal microbiome mixotherm strains, protein hoarding bacteria that had voracious appetite for plant carbohydrates and CO2. Gloria Plentify was born, microbiome-based, over 88% fortified single-cell protein with digestive prebiotics to boot, produced from low-cost plant sugars and greenhouse gases to deliver novel food ingredients at accessible prices to consumers. Today, we produce at 1/6 commercial scale in Delaware. We're demonstrating novel formulations to deliver optimized consumer experiences for animal-free dairy products that refuse to sacrifice on nutrition. Next up are meat replacements and baked goods. We're expanding our technical and production staff, product and business managers, under the scrutiny of world-class advisors. What you see here is our first ever commercial facility we call New Make in Little Falls, Minnesota. Construction has started, and we're well on our way to bringing to scale a new ingredient called Plentify. So I invite you to trust your gut and come find out more about us. Thanks.
All right, that was a great little introduction into White Dog Labs. Dan, Natalia, Carissa, and Mimi, welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. I would love to jump in with a round of introductions. Carissa, do you mind starting us off by introducing yourself, your role, and just a little bit of your background?
Sure. So my name is Carissa Wydell. I'm the Senior Research Associate at White Dog Labs. I joined the company about 9 years ago. I got my biology degree from Towson University, and then this was my first company that I worked with out of college. I started with like a 6-month contract position, and I worked my way up into the position I'm in now. Basically, I helped to plan out and execute the experiments that we do in the lab. I collaborate with our fermentation team and our lab in Israel, and I manage one of our grants for the DOE and basically just oversee the day-to-day operations in the lab.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's see. Dan, would you like to go next?
Sure. So my name is Dan Mitchell. I'm a University of Delaware grad, Go Blue Hens 2011. I'm the Director of Operations here at White Dog Labs. My day-to-day includes just all the labor that goes into running the entire demo facility, which goes up to 18,000 liters. I also, in addition to managing all the labor, I go out to our new plant in Minnesota that you saw at the end of the video and helping them set up our first ethanol distillation and eventually the Plentify product that you have seen there. So I do that. I work daily with Carissa all the time with their lab, and I'm also managing other PhD candidates as well. So kind of what I do.
Awesome. All right, Natalia, we'll move to you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you see me?
Cannot see you, but I can hear you.
All right, something's wrong with my video camera here. Let's see. Cannot start video. I don't know why. So my name is Natalia Diaz. I'm a assistant research scientist here at White Dog Labs. I started as an intern and then moved my way up as to an associate research assistant. I work right under Dan, so I assist him with protocols and to carry out experiments here at White Dog Lab.
Awesome, thank you. And last but not least, let's go to Mimi.
Hi guys, I'm Mimi Diani. I'm a previous intern at White Dog Labs for about 3 years, mostly like summer and winter sessions. I'm also a FAME alumni, and right now I'm a student at the University of Delaware. I'm a 3rd year biomedical engineering major, and I also have a minor in social entrepreneurship, which is using innovation to help solve problems for underrepresented minorities.
Oh wow, that's awesome. So cool that you're a FAME alumni. I love that.
Yeah, I've been there since I think 7th grade, and I graduated the program.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so let's get started with a few questions. And don't forget, I know we have a lot of students attending. Don't forget to ask your questions in the Q&A feature so that the panelists can hear from you too. Natalia, we'll start with you. What made you pick your career?
Well, I've always been interested in science. And then in college, I had an opportunity to do a research internship in research, more specifically in biology. And that had my interest forever in, just research.
Awesome, great to hear. Dan, in your opinion, what makes White Dog Labs different from other jobs and employers?
So what kind of separates White Dog Labs from other employers is we are still quote unquote small. We have a team of 20 people here, and even though we have a plant that will have 20 to 40 people in less than 6 months, you can see an entire beginning to end of a process, whereas at a much larger company that we have interacted with and we have many ongoing projects and grants with, you will only see a very tiny portion of what you do. You might spend your whole day pipetting, for example, at a much larger place, and that's all you'll do for a couple of months. Here at White Dog, you have the advantage of doing that, obviously, but seeing what is the next step, what is the lab scale look like compared to the micro scale, and then obviously what is the demo scale, which is getting up into the 1,000, 18,000 liters. To get that level of experience, you would work 8 years at another place. Here, you'll see it in a course of 3 to 4 months.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely some big advantages to being in a place that's smaller. So really get to see and experience all of the aspects of the organization. Carissa, this next question is for you. Describe an ideal candidate when you're hiring. Oh, Carissa, you might be on mute.
Two of the biggest things I look for when I am interviewing a candidate is for them to speak confidently and to be honest about their experience. Whenever you're speaking to someone, that's a professional in your field, they're going to be able to tell really quickly if you're making something up or if you're not being completely honest about the experience that you have. And when you're applying for internships and entry-level positions, we don't expect you to be experts. We know that we're going to have to train you and get you to where we need you to be, and that's okay. So just emphasize your strengths, make eye contact, speak confidently, and that'll really take you far. And then also for new college grads that haven't been able to find a job in their field yet, when I look at their resume, I like to see what they've been doing with their time off. Have they been doing anything productive? Have they been working somewhere, even if it's not in their field, that's completely fine, or volunteering or tutoring or taking additional classes, anything that's going to make them a better candidate and make them show that they have ambition.
Awesome. That's great advice. I'm sure we have a lot of a younger audience here today, so I'm sure that really resonates with them. Mimi, we'll turn to you. What is the most valuable skill you've gained from being an intern?
I would say the most valuable skill I gained is definitely my pre-introduction to like lab skills and lab equipment. Saying that because a lot of first years in my major had no idea even how to use a pipette. And when I got there, I had like great training with pipettes and performing things like gel electrophoresis, PCR, allopatting cells, working in an anaerobic chamber, biosafety chamber, all of those things I had already like great experience with. And this also introduced me to my research opportunity that I do now in the cardiac lab, biomechanics interfaces lab at the University of Delaware. She had privately asked me to work in her lab due to like seeing that I had great lab skills in cell and tissue lab. So I think that was one of the greatest skills that I had at that time that also made me more competitive when applying for research positions.
That's awesome. And this might lead into our next question. How has your internship shaped your plans for your future?
It kind of guided me to know what I did want to do, whether it was research or more so into like straight into industry or something different. I also like the fact that White Dog Labs has a very like close-knit environment where everyone kind of like knows each other personally, and that made me want to work in a company that also has that like feel where everyone is comfortable with each other and things like that. And that also, kind of helped shape my plans to where I want to kind of work more on the business development side of a company, but also like still be in collaboration with the research and know what's going on and contribute and things like that.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you're getting that experience while you're in college. What advice would you give to someone who's considering an internship at WDL?
I would say accountability for your work, and also more just being flexible, like willing to like learn new things and try different positions, and not just like I only know how to do this and this is all I'm gonna do. Like just wanting to expand your horizons to see like what you can do, learning more. Like I always want to always ask a lot of questions, so I think that that's good as well. Like ask questions if you're unsure, and because the environment's like super laid back and helpful. So yeah, that's the advice I would give.
Yeah, that's great advice. Dan, what advice do you have for interns, or what qualities of an intern or employee really stand out to you?
So Carissa kind of already, hit the nail on the head with her earlier answer, but I would like to echo. We like questions and honesty, right? Like we know that an intern coming out of UD is going to be very green. That's just the nature of the business. We don't expect you to understand everything or know everything about what we do here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to hire new people. So I always want my interns to ask questions. If you're asking questions, that tells me that you have a passion about what you're doing and you're invested in what we do. So that way it kind of shows to us, if you're an intern wanting to get a full-time position, that's the whole purpose of you being an intern, is to get a full-time job. You kind of want to give that appearance that we care. And so if you care, we might want to invest a little bit more with you. If you're just kind of going through the motions, you're just here for that 9 to 5, get that money, go out and do what you do in your free time. That's not going to impress an employer, because to be honest, to all of our interns listening, I don't know how many people are participating right now. We see hundreds of your applications when we do a summer post for 2 positions. So if you're just want to come in and be a 9 to 5er, we'll pick up on that real quickly, and we can find somebody else. That's just the nature of the business.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. That passion, showing why you're there, is so important in any role, really.
And if I could elaborate,
yeah, go ahead.
Also, just finding somebody that's willing to like go the extra mile and step up and do things that maybe aren't even asked of them. For working in a lab, there's a lot of like little things that can be done: making medias, refilling pipette tip boxes, sanitizing different things, autoclaving things. It really is encouraging and makes you want to keep someone around when they're willing to, you know, try and make your job easier, even if it's not being asked. Obviously, we give people work plans and give them projects to work on, but there is downtime, especially in a research environment. And just having someone that's willing to not just like sit there and be waiting to be told what they need to do, but taking the initiative to do the next step. And that's with any field. There's always something that you can be doing. And so either ask what it can be, or, you know, just stay busy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really great advice. And I can kind of echo that in any career. Just, you know, asking for more and doing things without having to be asked is so important. Our last question before we move over to our audience Q&A, we'll start with Natalia, but Carissa and Dan, feel free to chime in with your answer as well. What advice for students do you have for them here, that are students who are here today? We know we're in different times right now, so what are your words of encouragement?
From me, personally, you know, don't give up, do the work, do not be discouraged. You know, there's still jobs out there. Just learn how to manage your time, because that's definitely what I do. That's one of the things I do most. Learn how to prioritize, you know, the things that need to be done first. Just learn how to manage your time. That's the thing I do most here that I would encourage people to learn.
Awesome.
I guess I'll jump in next. Biggest advice I can give to any intern or person in just college in general is be comfortable being uncomfortable. The only way that you can grow is to put yourself out of your comfort zone, that little box we draw. And when you step into industry, especially in the biotech industry that is growing at such a rapid pace. I mean, Chris and I, when we started, we're in a tiny little lab together and we shared an office. And in less than 10 years, here she and I are running this whole thing. So all of that and everything we had to do was very uncomfortable. We had to step in the places that we weren't trained to do. And if you're not prepared as a person to accept the stress that comes with kind of doing that, you will fail. So my advice would be is to anytime that you're given an opportunity to do something different, do something new, even if you're like, I definitely want to work in a microbiome lab, and all of a sudden there's this tissue culture, fermentation type of experience that you could get at another company, go take it. It's how you're going to grow. It's how you're going to well-round yourself. And, you know, we pick up on that in interviews. It only builds your confidence. You can't hurt yourself taking chances, even if you fail. That's how we get better. So that would be my advice. I wish I had that when I was younger, instead of had this narrow-minded of I'm going to always just be this chemical engineer doing modeling. And here I am 10 years later working in fermentation. So it's like, you know, just that's my advice. Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, I love that. Let's see. So we can move on to the questions that have come in from the audience now. We have a couple of fame related questions for you, Mimi. They kind of go hand in hand. But how did your history with fame shape your path? And what advice do you have for current fame students? I know we have some in the audience today.
I think fame shaped my path by just introducing me to engineering. Like, I feel like a lot of especially like first coming from like inner city area, like engineering is not talked about, kind of like entrepreneurship as well. I feel like it's just like a word that's kind of like scared, like what is engineering? When really it's in like every discipline that you can imagine, really. So I think that thing just kind of introduced us to engineering, just like little by little, just by showing us like project building skills or like just design thinking process, things like that, that helped to expose us to it at an early age. And therefore I knew like I did want to do engineering, but just wasn't sure like what field that best suited me. So I think that's how FAME prepped me to be where I am today, my major. I feel like that. Another thing that FAME helped me with was specifically in presenting. Like I used to have like huge, I used to be so like shy. Like right now I wouldn't be able to even do this like on camera. I was so nervous about like talking in front of people. But just by like being able to get comfortable, like Dan said, being uncomfortable or like presenting, things like that, that helped as well. Current advice I would give to FAME students is just to kind of like put yourself out there. I know that kind of seems like obvious, I guess, but when I like applied for the White Dog Labs position, I knew it was like a chemical engineering like thing with fermentation, and I knew that I wanted to do medicine specifically, but I just wanted to like. And before that, I worked like I did an internship with University of Delaware, like in agriculture, like at a like farm with like corn, which is like nothing about what I wanted to do, but I just wanted to put myself out there to see if like maybe I would be interested in this. So I would say that even though you might have an idea of what you want to do already, you should still like not close any opportunities for yourself. If you see an application, even if you think you can't get it, like just apply for it. I applied for so many. So like even though I got like maybe 2, I probably applied for like 5, you know what I'm saying? So it's not just like don't be discouraged. Just apply for as many as you can. Just try new opportunities. Don't like close yourself off to any doors or anything like that. So
yeah, that's wonderful advice. Let's see. One of our questions we got is, how did your company get its name?
Okay, I'll take this one. Our first CEO and founder of the company, his name is Tally. He is a whiskey connoisseur. I'll put that in quotation marks. White Dog is slang for moonshine, so he thought it would be clever to call the company White Dog because our product is before like finishing products, so he thought it was clever. In hindsight, when we do job postings, we do get a bunch of dog groomers, we get a bunch of doggy daycare applicants, so it's kind of been frustrating.
That's really funny. I would have never thought of that. Another question for you, Dan. What is pipetting?
Oh, asking the engineer. Okay, so pipetting is, well, a pipetter is a device that allows you to pipette. So, taking the easy way out. Pipetting is taking a measured known amount of liquid from one container, and then we would put it in another. So a pipette is super important for what Carissa does when she does genetic work. You can't see what 2 microliters looks like. I mean, obviously, she can tell what 2 microliters versus 10 microliters looks like because she's been doing it so long and she's great at what she does. But to an intern who has never done it, you're going to sit there and go, that just looks like a drop of water to me. Mm-hmm. So a pipetter allows you to take accurate and precise exact amounts of liquid into other containers.
Awesome. Thank you. What is the application process like for students that might want to intern at White Dog Labs?
So a lot of times we will post a job listing online, or we also have it go through like the University of Delaware, and usually Dan and myself are the ones that go through the intern resumes and kind of weed people out. When we put our jobs up on Indeed, we get people from all over the country and people that aren't qualified, and it is easy to like weed some people out. But we do a lot of interviews. We want to see, you know, what's out there, what everyone has to offer. And like I said before, we don't expect someone to be an expert, but we do want someone that's enthusiastic and is willing to learn and wants to be there.
Yeah. That's a great answer. I know we've gotten this question a couple of times with different panelists throughout the past couple of sessions. What are things you look for on a resume, especially since we have students that are in high school or pursuing college or in college now that might not have a ton of experience yet?
So I'll start this one because I know Carissa, because we both look at the resumes. So if you don't have a lot of experience, what I look at is what is your school experience. I understand that, hey, we 10 years ago were in your shoes trying to get that first job, and we went through that cycle of you need job experience to get a job. Well, how do I get job experience? Well, you get a job. Well, how the hell does that work? So volunteering in a lab, working under a professor as an undergraduate researcher, it is extremely easy to do. You can send an email to all your professors, the professor chair, and you'll be real surprised at how many grad students want a free set of hands that'll do something. I look for that on your resume. Yes, we'll look at what your classwork is, but a classwork lab compared to what we do now, that's just the basic bare bones stuff. If you can get some undergraduate research, that would help a lot on your resume if you can't get actual industrial experience.
Yeah, that's really great advice. Thinking about the past few months or so, what has changed work-wise since COVID?
Absolutely nothing. We're still very busy. When we work in the lab, we are already wearing goggles and gloves. We F in all of our surfaces. It's a pretty sterile environment anyway, or we try and keep it as sterile as possible, I should say. And any type of job, usually in the STEM field, kind of makes you, I don't want to say recession proof, but it definitely isn't a hit as hard as some other areas. And so we've never stopped working through COVID. We've been in the lab or at the fermentation facility every day. Dan has still had to go out to Minnesota to help set up our new plant out there. We still brought in new hires. We haven't really changed anything. If we need to wear face masks or something like that, then obviously that's fine. But we are a smaller company, so there's not like a whole lot of face-to-face interactions. We did used to do Wednesday group lunches where the company provides lunch for everybody, and we all get together and kind of catch up and just get to interact with each of the different labs. And we did put that on pause. But for the most part, work-wise, nothing has changed. We've still been carrying out all of our experiments and advancing our fermentation technologies, and we've been busy.
That's awesome. We've heard from so many different presenters where some industries we've heard from have changed or really had to adapt. So that's really cool that you guys just kind of went with it because you were already doing some of the safety precautions, and it's easier to adapt that way. I think we have time for one more question, and this could be quick, rapid fire. Just what is your favorite part about working at White Dog Labs?
Dan hit on it previously that it is a really small company, so you really do get to see a project from beginning to end, which I enjoy, and you really get to do each of the steps. That's probably the biggest thing that I've really enjoyed. It's really helped me build my skill set by being able to see a project completely through.
Definitely.
Free lunch Fridays. I would say it's no. I would say that my favorite part of working there was just the fact that it was less as, I don't want to say structured, but less structured as I thought it was going to be. So it's like if I made a mistake, it wasn't like you're fired. It was like, this is how you do better next time. Just the fact of being able to help me to be adaptable and learn new things and ask questions. It was fun. So that part.
That's awesome.
For me, I'm really big in the fermentation, so I really like what I do. And then White Dog has given me the position to lead a lot of people, so that's probably my favorite part.
For me, I've been able to learn different areas. My degree is, but working under Dan, I've learned how to do some engineering stuff. Plus the environment and the people are great, so I like the small company setting.
That's great. White Dog Labs seems like a super awesome company. So thank you all so much for being here today. I think that's all the time we have for questions, but Dan, Natalia, Carissa, and Mimi, thank you so much for presenting today. I really enjoyed it. And to our attendees, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay with us. We're about to start our WSFS Bank presentation momentarily.
Great, thanks for having us.